Hi, I'm going to be reviewing Chapter 7 in our Human Resource Management class. Um, so this chapter was about performance appraisals. Uh, Performance appraisals, they include the identification, the measurement, and the management of human performance in an organization. Appraisals need not to focus on your past activities of the employee, but rather on the future goals so that the employee is capable of reaching their full potential within the organization. At my organization, Parkview, we used to do an annual appraisal for each employee. These employees were scored on there was actually two categories that had different things listed within those two categories, and they were graded on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best possible score. We changed that this year, and we are now performing what they call a midterm and an annual evaluation with each employee. So we sit down together and we devise goals for the coming 6 months and year. The key is that we discuss the goals together and we come up with the goals that are attainable for the employee. Performance appraisals are used to help the organization see whether or not the employee should be promoted, maybe terminated, or rewarded, such as how much of an annual raise that they may receive. Um, these performance appraisals are used to provide feedback on what they do well and what they don't do so well. Some managers and supervisors don't really take these serious, and the problem with that is they find it that it's another task that they have to do, already adding to their already busy workloads. Um, Managers and supervisors, they need to take the time to investigate each staff member's work in detail. Managers should be given feedback to staff on a daily basis, not just during appraisal time. Some of the problems with managers doing these yearly appraisals is that managers can be very inconsistent from one manager to the next. And I can tell you that I, I feel that is one reason that they changed that uh, from doing an annual appraisal to doing what they call a midterm and an annual evaluation. Um, what I was finding at my place of employment was that, I was grading my top performers at a 4 and a 5, um, low performers maybe at a 2 and a 3. But other managers, some of the other managers, not all of them, they would grade them all 3s. Nobody got a 4, and absolutely nobody got a 5 because they felt that that maybe there was some room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. So it was very inconsistent. Some of the problems with these managers doing these yearly appraisals is that managers are very inconsistent from one manager to the next. One manager may give all of their people high scores, while another manager may be very well strict and not give any of their staff high scores because, like I said, they feel that there's always room for improvement. There are a couple different formats for appraisals. One is a relative judgment format. This is an appraisal format that asks supervisors to compare an employee's performance to the performance of other employees that are performing the exact same job. This forces the managers to differentiate among their workers. Then there is what they call the absolute judgment format. This is an appraisal format that asks supervisors to make judgments about an employee's performance based solely on performance standards. The performance measurements can also include measurements based upon the type of performance data that is being focused on, such things as trait data, behavioral data, and outcome data. Trait data is when a supervisor makes judgments about traits such as decisiveness, loyalty, reliability, and energy. These can be ambiguous, leading to either a leader, giving unconscious or conscious bias during the appraisal towards the employee. Employees don't really like these types of appraisals because the appraisal is focused more on the person and not really much on the performance. So if your company performs these type of appraisals, supervisors definitely need to keep an accurate record of each employee. And what I mean by that is, like, how many times have they been late, how many times have they been absent, or the number of missed deadlines. That way, legally, if something comes up, everything is documented in their employee file. Then there are what they call behavioral appraisement instruments, in which a rater is asked to assess whether an employee exhibits certain behaviors, such as, does the person work well with others? This is called the BAR scale. And then there is the MBO, or the management by objectives, and in which the employee and the supervisor sit down and they set goals together. And I believe this is what we do now at Parkview. This approach provides a clear, unambiguous criteria by which the performance can be judged. It eliminates any subjectivity and any potential for any bias towards the staff. But this can also give false information. For example, like if you're working in a factory or something, what happens if the employee is trying to put out a certain amount of products, excuse me, but the line goes down, and it's not necessarily the employee's fault, so you can't really hold that against the employee. Once you sit down with the employees and you go through your appraisals or evaluations, that's what we call them now at our place of employment, then you can figure out whether or not maybe they need to be put on what we call at our work like a performance improvement plan, or maybe, like the book says, an action plan, to get them up to speed of where they need to be within the company. That's pretty much Chapter 7 review. Thank you very much.